Jack Smiley, and welcome to Modern Marvels. Today we're going to be looking at Elon Musk, the personal self-entrepreneur who created Zip2, PayPal, SolarCity, Tesla, and SpaceX. Elon has been in the news very recently and is continually innovating everything in his field. He works tirelessly to make the world a better place, and every one of his companies is focused on that goal. Today we're going to hear from friends, family, and colleagues about his successes, failures, and what makes him possibly one of the most innovative people in the world.
My name is Dr. Steven, and I am Elon Musk's personal psychologist. Zip2 and PayPal were two of the first companies that Elon Musk was involved in. He sold both after creating them. Zip2 started off as a way for newspapers to try to find new customers. Eventually he had contracts with the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune before he sold that. And then he used profits from that business to create X.com, which would later become what we now know as PayPal. After spending some time with PayPal, it was sold to APay and is now one of the premier money transfer websites in the world. Whatever he sees, he is willing to fight for the death for. He was actually the CEO of PayPal before he was fired for trying to do what he thought was moving the company forward. The board disagreed and removed him. So his dedication to his tasks can come back to bite him a little because he doesn't necessarily compromise as much, which also plays into the big five agreeableness portion. And it's really a double-edged sword for him because on the one hand, he hears no law. People say it can't be done, there's no possible way for you to do this, and he ignores those voices and pioneers things that no one else could do and no one else thinks is possible. And he only can do that because he is so driven and determined, but at the same time he doesn't always realize that other people can be right occasionally, and sometimes that bites him.
I'm Eric Wagner. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at SpaceX. So how Elon was able to start SpaceX along with Tesla was he made a ton of money off PayPal. And so with his profits that he made from that, he was able to start these other companies. But for a while there, after the recession, he was almost beginning to become bankrupt. And so many people were like, oh, you should just pull out while you can and whatnot. And he decided to put all his money on the line when everyone said, everyone's attitude towards it was like, Elon Musk is going to go broke. He's going to lose all his money, and so his companies are going to fail. Both of them, both Tesla and SpaceX. He decided to ignore, everyone's thoughts and feelings and proceed as he did. I think that he oftentimes, listened to advice. And it's helped him in the past, but I think people say no to Elon Musk. It motivates him to prove them wrong, want to prove them wrong, and that's what drives him.
That third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up. I mean, I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated.
Hi, I'm Kyle Mazzarelli, a good friend and colleague of Elon Musk. Elon helped create what is known as SolarCity. He helped create that in 2006 with his cousins Lyndon and Peter Rive. Elon Musk has three main instrumental values that he believes in that are important to every individual, especially those who are hoping to start their own company. One thing he believes in is trust. You have to be able to trust those people you're working with. So after PayPal, he had tons of cash and he was willing to put most of his money into the businesses he believed in. Secondly, Elon believes in a lot of hard work. You have to put in a lot of time and hard work in order to have a successful company. He believes you should be putting in 80 to 100 hours a week. A third final value that Elon Musk strongly believes in is good moral quality. He believes that people with money and power should help create things that will benefit and help others that don't have the same financial situation you have. So that's what, with a lot of his companies, Tesla and Solar City, he's using his power and money to create better resources that would be renewable for the future.
Some of the things that make Elon Musk most successful, definitely his personality. For tests like the Big Five, Elon Musk would place extremely high in conscientiousness, which is more or less his determination and just sheer willpower. In terms of the average human being, there aren't many people that can hone in and focus the way he does on obtaining goals. In terms of relationships, he would probably score fairly lowly on extroversion. He's been divorced once, he remarried, and filed for divorce a second time, which to me suggests that he may not be the most comfortable dealing with relationships. They, at least from the outside, seem like they tend to kind of bubble up and explode on him. In his personal life, he doesn't really seem to demonstrate an understanding of what people are looking for in interpersonal relationship, because he's so driven and dedicated to his work that consumes his whole identity, and he doesn't understand people who aren't that way. In a casual conversation, he once remarked to me that he really needed a lot more time to look for a girlfriend, and that he asked me what was the minimum of time he would need to dedicate to keeping her happy a week, and he thought it was right around 10 hours. So things like that really suggest to me that he may not be as in tune to other people as most of us are. He was bullied a lot as a child and spent a lot of time alone. That also really relates to that he is very alone in his own person and his own intellect.
Not that he told me much about it, but he was picked on quite a bit.
So I just read a lot of books and tried to stay out of people's way during school.
And so his social life was much less than my other two kids. And that's a typical nerd.
I read all the comics I could buy or that they'd let me read at the bookstore before chasing me away. I read everything I could get my hands on from when I woke up to when I went to sleep. At one point I really ran out of books and started reading the encyclopedia.
And he has a photographic memory, so he could remember everything. Anytime I had a question, my daughter Tosca would say, "Call Genius Boy."
It doesn't bode well for his relationships with other people, because he just doesn't seem to fundamentally understand what a regular human being is like. He really is just on the next level. Another aspect of the Big Five test is emotional stability, which Mr. Musk has displayed a tremendous amount of. His ability to maintain calm in all of the situations that his companies have put him in has been tremendous, almost superhuman, which is really fitting for him.
My name is Sean Franco. I was Elon's economics professor back when he was in college. In 2003, after a successful PayPal sell-off where Musk earned $180 million in the buyout, he spent all that money, took all that money, and he invested it. Tesla was incorporated July 2003, and Elon, what he was trying to do, just trying to push our society away from gas dependence. He saw an idea and he went with it. And with that being said, I think there were a lot of struggles, obviously. In 2008, the market crashed. Tesla's warehouse would have been stocked, completely filled with Tesla Roadsters. They were a complete failure, product malfunctions, and if it weren't for Elon, they would not be here today. From a series of loans and outside investments, Tesla ended up being profitable by 2009 after that recession. Today, they're producing $130,000 cars. Model S is widely successful. Throughout California, Tesla has battery charging stations, which what Elon's trying to do is he's trying to make the grid run on solar. So people driving that Tesla through that grid don't ever have to pay for gas. People always have power. Disaster, as long as that sun is shining, they can drive their Tesla. And I think Elon envisioned that. And without that vision, in 20, 30 years, if something were to happen, where would we be? Elon's push away from those fossil fuels towards those batteries has really impacted a lot of what we think about as possible. Tesla, their brand new plant they just built, is already producing, it's going to produce more batteries than any other plant combined in the world. So one plant in California is going to produce more lithium-ion batteries than all the plants combined. And what Elon's doing with that technology is he's really pushing the boundaries of what humans think is possible. In 2008, after the failure of the Tesla Roadster, Musk was broke.
We had maybe about a week's worth of cash in the bank, or less. I had to make a choice then that either I took all of the capital that I had left from the sale of PayPal to eBay and invest that in Tesla, or Tesla would die.
He's almost gone bankrupt several times. His companies have nearly failed and driven him to the ground, but his ability to assess a situation and keep moving forward really ties into that drive that he has. But at the foundation of that drive, he really needs this cool ability to assess a situation, because if he was panicking the way most of us would, he never would be able to continue work on the projects that have made him so successful. In terms of openness to experience, Mr. Musk seems to, he would score very highly. Openness to experience being his ability to pioneer new technology, things that most of us don't even know could exist, are things that he is making a reality, which is probably one of the most extreme cases of openness to experience, because he's not just going out and finding new experiences, he's literally creating new ones.
Companies have been attempting to build self-driving cars for years. Google's been trying, Apple's been trying, all the major auto manufacturers have been trying. And then overnight, Elon goes out and he unveils this self-driving car, and this Tesla Model S has autopilot, and I think unbelievable. Something that you only dreamed about 10 years ago, 20 years ago as being reality is now reality because of Tesla, because of Elon.
So Elon Musk's main terminal goal at the end of it all is that he's trying to provide a better world for future generations to live in.
Elon Musk has even bigger dreams that might just take him farther than anyone else.
Elon Musk goes a step further. Earth's not big enough. With SpaceX, he literally wants to go to Mars.
A long time, I'd really love to go to Mars, and that's the overarching goal of SpaceX.
That's really kind of taking Mr. Musk. So Mr. Musk is what we call someone who has high self-efficacy. Means you have the drive to go through anything, any obstacle. Through his successes and failures with both Tesla and SpaceX, Elon obviously has a high self-efficacy, but I guess the question at this point is whether he has the highest self-efficacy of anyone alive today. When Elon just first came over from South Africa, from college, and was working over in California, over to Silicon Valley, Elon would push often 100-hour days. He'd sleep in the office. He didn't have a home. He went to actually the YMCA to shower and then came back to the office and got ready and everything before his colleagues would come in. I think that really defines a lot about who he is as a person. The Model S goes through the IIHS and they receive the highest safety rating any car has ever received. And then they also go and receive the highest overall ranking any car has ever received. They broke the scale as far as what ranking is possible.
Billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk puts his money where his mouth is.
I am personally guaranteeing that value and standing behind that guarantee with all of my assets.
Elon, after his third SpaceX failure, really defined his self-efficacy in that regard, because they didn't have the money to keep going. Elon bet his entire fortune, everything he had made, on that fourth launch. And if that had failed, SpaceX would no longer be around. Tesla Motors probably would not be around. And because of that success, we're talking about Elon today, and he's not somewhere else. And with that being said, those obstacles, the vision that he had to overcome that is something I've never seen in anyone, and it really defines who he is.
He believes you must be able to immerse yourselves into your beliefs and the overarching goals of your organization in order to have a successful, profitable organization. You know, Elon Musk is referred to as the Bond supervillain a lot of times because he has so much money and he is doing so many different things with it. But he believes that you have to use that money and power and put it into something good that could help future generations and even people around you currently that don't have the same resources that you do. He believes that that's why he's invested in Solar City and Tesla. Those are two main companies that try to use renewable resources in order to provide electricity.
One of Mr. Musk's more domestic initiatives was to have all of the members of the Tesla company take the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator, Mr. Musk included, and he released his score. It was INTJ, which means introverted, intuitive thinking and judging. Mr. Musk's introversion is really derived from his time as a child. He was not the most popular. At one point, some of the kids in his neighborhood beat him so horrendously he was actually hospitalized. And he was picked on like that for most of his childhood, so he really learned to be alone from an early age. He has a photographic memory and spent a lot of times with books, which is where he really learned to enjoy himself. So introversion really makes sense for him because that's where he likes to be, alone, learning with books and new material. The thinking aspect of Mr. Musk's personality may make him appear cold to a lot of people, but that really plays in, again, to his childhood and the fact that he has a photographic memory. His instant recall to thousands of pages of information, so that it really takes away that kind of subjective lens when you're trying to think of something and you can always remember what's going on in the world will appear to you to be much more black and white than it is to the rest of us, because as soon as he knows something, it's objective, that's the way it is, and he never has to have the thought process that a lot of us do to recall things, where there's added subjectivity to our memories. There isn't for him. But the last aspect of the Myers-Briggs test is judging, which is Mr. Musk's orientation to the outside world, and that also fits him well because he's a person that likes closure. He's goal-oriented, which he has to be as a company leader, especially with pioneering new technology like SpaceX and Tesla. He has to have measurable standards for progress, whereas someone who's working at another company like Ford or GM, where your goal can be to just, make a new car, there's not that closure that you need when you're creating new technology, because it's a lot harder to measure success at those companies than it is for him. It's a very objective, did what we create work? Did the rocket, achieve orbit? Did it not? And his orientation has to be one that says these goals need to be accomplished. This needs to be done in a way that we achieve success. Otherwise, he never would have been able to pioneer this technology and research as a company.
Yeah, I would say Elon Musk, he is a high self-monitor overall. Whether or not he chooses to acknowledge how people are feeling around him and change his attitude towards them, I'm not sure. But I believe he is aware of everyone around him, and he has the ability to recognize how people feel. Looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I believe Elon is at that top level, the self-actualization, and since day one, I believe that he's always been striving to fulfill his destiny for greatness.
Are you sincerely trying to save the world?
Well, I'm trying to do good things, yeah. I mean, saving the world is not
But you're trying to do good things and you're a billionaire. I mean,
yeah.
that seems a little bit like either superhero or supervillain. You have to choose one.
I'm trying to do useful things. I mean, yeah.
Elon is no longer concerned with, personal connections. He's not concerned about what the public thinks about him, and he's not concerned about, making more money, or personal gain. Elon now is just trying to leave a lasting impact in the world.
There it is. I'm Jack Smiley. Thank you for watching Modern Marvels. See you next week.